When an animal is as exciting in its proximity to ourselves as a whale can be, there's no question that people will pursue a humpback whale. They will go to it.
There are 3 altars in the church here. The main altar is dedicated to the Archangel Michael, and the right side altar is dedicated to Saint Innocent, who's the original architect and builder of the church, and our left side is dedicated to Our Lady of Sitka.
Because we have so many gray days in the spring, and if you get your bulbs in the ground and you get some color in the early spring, it gives you the enthusiasm and kind of the hope to get out there and plant the garden for the rest of the year.
Those of us who choose Southeast Alaska as our home share a spectacular land, the Inside Passage, which touches each of our communities, and our weather. Some suggest the weather in Southeast comes in only 2 conditions, rain and about to rain. And some think the annual precipitation should be measured, like the Inside Passage, in fathoms. But the fact is, our marine climate produces our unique corner of the world. Good evening, I'm Scott Foster, and welcome to Rain Country, a weekly television journal of the places, faces, and activities that join us together as Southeast Alaskans. We begin, appropriately enough, underneath the water, with one of the Earth's mightiest creatures and the whale man of Southeast, who's made a career studying them. They're 45 feet long, but feed on small herring and krill. They winter in Mexico and Hawaii, but migrate 3,000 miles to summer in Southeast Alaska. They weigh 33 tons, but can jump their entire body completely out of the water. Humpback whales are the sight of Southeast Alaska, and Chuck Juraz is the whale man of Southeast and beyond.
And I suddenly recognized that the wind at my back, just a light breeze, had been blowing me closer and closer to this animal. And I then recognized that if I didn't move myself, I would literally blow right up onto its back, so I'd better move. So I lifted up the oar, I inserted it into the oarlock. I took a sweep on the oar and made a high screeching sound of metal on metal. And that animal, much as a young man flexing his muscle, became very well defined. The center of the body rose out of the water in what obviously was a flexure of the nose dropping towards the tail and the tail dropping towards the nose, and then a tremendous thrust on that tail threw the animal down. And I thought, oh, gee, I've wakened a whale. And I was okay for about a half a minute. My camera's last shot was at 15 feet. That was the focal set. The next thing I knew is I saw this vessel rise out of the water because it looked like a Nautilus submarine coming out, and it went up. I grabbed my camera in time to take a picture. Remember, focused at 15 feet. The only thing that's in focus is a wall of water and droplets at 15 feet. The animal then breached 7 more times, which allowed me 2 pictures with my hand steady and probably 3 more very, very quivery, because I recognized, Juraz, you've done yourself in. If this animal lands on you, you are dead.
It didn't, and Juraz isn't. What he is a Juneau High School biology teacher who grew up in the dry flatlands of the Midwest, but became fascinated with whales when he moved to Juneau in the mid-60s. After spending some 60,000 hours on the water watching them, Juraz stopped counting the time, but continued the work. Since then, Juraz and his nonprofit education and research organization, SeaSearch, has made a series of discoveries that have placed their names among the serious whale researchers in the world. Juraz ticks off facts about humpbacks as smoothly as water running off the whale's back.
Here in southeast Alaska, if you go out in the winter and you see a whale, it wouldn't surprise me if the downtime is 1/2 hour. Right. If we only have 5 hours of daylight, then you might only see that animal 10 times in a daylight hour, okay, or in daylight period. In contrast to that, in the summer, an animal might be down for 8 minutes, or 5 minutes, or 3 minutes, and then come up to the surface and take 8 breaths. Just in between that. Okay, that means, of course, we see much more of the animal. The behaviors in the summer are much more dynamic. There are surface activities. The feed is near the surface. Their arguments with one another occur at the surface. In the winter, fewer arguments. The feed is down deep. The activity is very, very, very reduced.
Where they congregate depends on the patterns of human movement and feed.
There's very little question now, but that aside from feed characteristics, whales are responsive to what we do as human beings. And when we use an area a lot with vessels, there's no question that the animals respond to that use, and they respond to that use on the basis of, if I may use the expression, personal space. That is, how much space do they have?
It's not surprising that upon seeing the blow from one of the estimated 600 whales that are in southeast in the summer, boaters frequently turn toward the mammal for a closer view. The law says you will not pursue humpback whales and will not upset their habitat by fouling their water or taking their food.
When an animal is as exciting in its proximity to ourselves as a whale can be, there's no question that people will, quote unquote, as defined in the law, pursue a humpback whale. They will go to it, that's pursuit. And they will do it more than once. And they will do it oblivious of how their vessel sounds. Okay? So, do I feel that people ought to pursue them? Yes, in order for people to learn. Do I feel that that's deleterious in some cases? Absolutely, provably deleterious in some cases.
Surveys show 80% of tourists coming to Alaska want to see wildlife. A killer whale Juraz and his students brought to Juneau to dissect proved his point about local public interest in whales.
And what's very apparent now is that when we put a killer whale out on the tarmac there at the Marine Tech Center, in a single day, 750 people come by, and we think, oh my goodness, you'll not tap that. And the next day, over 1,000 people come to look at that animal. And those are all community people. Now, it's obvious that in this community, we want to show people what whales are about. In terms of tourism, there is no question that if we present things like that full-bodied whale out there, and we show them what the lungs and the heart and the genitalia look like, that will impress them. That will make them happy that they've learned something that was worth going 2,000 miles to go find out about.
Juraz thinks the public needs to have access to whales, but hopefully not disturbing them. The solution? Make replicas of whale skeletons.
Make it out of fiberglass and epoxy resin, put it up in a place where they can go up and touch it, and you'll find people are extremely happy with that experience here, and that's what will count.
Juraz can make accurate replicas by studying real whales. In 1981, 2 whales were found on the beach in Seymour Canal on Admiralty Island. Juraz took 114 students from 3 different high schools who for 2 solid months from first light until after last light dissected and studied the whales.
We began in January, and we worked all of February and all of March, and literally on April 1st of 1981, we delivered 2 full sets of bones to Juneau at the docks here. We retrieved every single bone. We retrieved the baleen. We recorded where the barnacles were on the body. We recorded where the lice were on the body. We identified what pigmentation patterns existed, and went through the entire body with blubber thicknesses and tissue samplings, and we even checked for the level of DDT and PCBs in the blubber.
And so Chuck Juraz continues his study of whales, collection of their bones and plans for replications so the general public can have access to this marvelous creature.